Okay, what's up guys? Shaz here and welcome to the channel. So normally I like post gameplay stuff and you guys know about it, but today I'm going to do something different, something like out something important because as you know I play a lot of Assassin's Creed games and Ubisoft games. So I wanted to talk about them now because I feel like it's like an important topic to talk about. But as you may know, recently Ubisoft has announced Assassin's Creed Mirage, a game that is supposed to go back to the roots of the original Assassin's Creed games, like AC2, 3, and 4. Games that I'm pretty sure everyone here can enjoy and were pretty fun to play. Now, why was this decision taken? Even though games like Valhalla and Odyssey, and as you can see, Valhalla got a good first week with selling 1.8 million copies, while Odyssey sold over 10 million copies. So why are these two games, even though they because of their success, not being published any further? Like why aren't their mechanics still being used? Simple. This is the same mechanic that Ubisoft has been using for games like Breakpoint, Far Cry 6, New Dawn. Literally every game Ubisoft has produced over the last 5 years, I guess. Any game after like Wirelands, AC Unity, and I think Far Cry 5. Yeah. After these games, any game Ubisoft made related to these franchises has been a fully overabused RPG blunder. They've been and it's pissed off so many people. Even though the sales went well, it's not like the games were as fun as people would think. They were fun, yes, but they weren't feeling like the original core games that you would like grow up with, the ones that you would enjoy. Take here for example, Assassin's Creed 2. It sold 9 million copies, but it was like called one of the best games. Why? Because it had its core mechanics shown in AC1, but it made it better. It improved on those core mechanics, making them more fun. The reason that games nowadays of related made by Ubisoft aren't as fun as before is basically Ubisoft abuses their RPG over every game. Take every game right now that Ubisoft has recently published. Breakpoint, Odyssey, Valhalla, Far Cry 6, New Dawn, all of these have one major common mechanic. All of them are RPG. All of them use a loot gear system, meaning that you have to grind the hell out of the game in order to continue the story or any part of the game. Second of all, these grinds can sometimes be bought or you be used through boosters, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have noticed if they played Odyssey or Origins. That part Ubisoft abused the hell out of. Third, it because the story of each of the games of I'm gonna basically go on like AC Valhalla and Odyssey here. I'm gonna talk about them first. Basically, AC Odyssey and Valhalla are great games. I'm not denying them. They are games that you would enjoy, and I would highly recommend if people want to play them, they should go and play them. They are fun games, but they are not Assassin's Creed games. They cannot be. It felt like Ubisoft took the RPG mechanic and then rolled around Assassin's Creed around that stuff. It was never fun for anyone to like say, "Hey, I want to attack this checkpost, but I can't because those guys are level 50 and I'm like 25. I need to go grind like some terrible 50 side missions just so I can get a weapon that's good enough to attack that place." Second of all, the mechanics, because these games lost their mechanics, they lost their identity. They didn't feel anything special. They all felt like cheap copies of their original self. Breakpoint literally abused. Now it's better, but Breakpoint was when it first came out was so mediocre. It wasn't even fun to play. There were points in the game that you couldn't travel because everything was gonna kill you in one shot. There were red zones that had robots that were like 200 level above you. You could literally travel anywhere in the island, and you couldn't like play anything on that island because everything over there was broken as hell. Even if I show you, like if I look it up here right now, if I look at like Breakpoint sales and review, actually let's just look at review. You can see 6 out of 10, 1 out of 5, 4 out of 10. Why? Because this was the last straw people who had any fun of playing an RPG game. Breakpoint wasn't fun, Odyssey wasn't fun, and neither was Valhalla when they call themselves something related to a series they have no relation to. Breakpoint's main problem was that it not only did they abuse the rarity RPG system, they made sure that you can't have fun in RPGs if it's gonna be a single player game. When you're playing like an RPG game, let's say Destiny, games like a Destiny, uh, I can't say something else. I've only played Destiny, but Destiny does RuneScape count? I don't think RuneScape counts, but like okay, I'm just gonna go with Destiny as a prime example because it's the only one that I can think of that had an actual good RPG mechanic. The loot system in this Breakpoint and Destiny were different. In Destiny, you could play with other players. You could. Oh yeah, this is the Division. I remember the Division. Now a lot of people might disagree with me, and this is my personal opinion. But the Division was good in terms of its own RPG because it was a game that was an online co-op. You could play it with anyone. There would be teammates, allies. You could go against an enemy player. There were core mechanics with the RPG that went well with the Division. But when you look at Breakpoint, a game that's solely PvE and has no PvP content and has a rarity system that is messed up to the point that even they consider your armor as a part of the clothes you're wearing as armor, as like your rarity drops. It makes the game repetitive. It makes the game boring, and you can see like pay to win mechanics. Okay, I didn't know about this, but for those who don't know about pay to win mechanics, it's basically when you buy something from a general store. It could be the in-game store, it could be actual money for like a booster pack or a loot package. A lot of games have done this, but when Breakpoint did this, and I think almost anyone would agree with me, pay to win mechanics are always terrible, especially when RPG games do this. Pay to win and RPG games should never be colluded together because they ruin the experience not for only the player, but they also like take away any meaning to the game. Sorry, it also breaks the grind. But grinding is like a main factor when it comes to RPG because you need better loot, you need to grind more missions, you need to do more stuff. If your game is entirely purposed around RPG and you force your player to play a grind around like 2 hours, 3 hours worth of missions just so they could get better loot, you need to make sure that the game is online. If it's like an offline game, a single player game, or a game that has only PvE and you want players to grind for better loot and stuff, they're not gonna enjoy it. No one is gonna say, oh man, I played 3 hours just to get this spear that does 13 plus damage. I had so much fun, I'm gonna give more money to the game. They're not. They're gonna hate it. They're gonna get tired and they're gonna play it for maybe 1 more hour and then leave. Games like these aren't supposed to make you grinds, especially considering that Odyssey and Valhalla, both of these games are like single player games. These don't have any type of multiplayer content. They're solely made for offline gameplay, story, and have their own like narratives. The same thing goes with Far Cry 6 and in games like Breakpoint, because the division, but why the division isn't hated for the RPG mechanics is as I said, because of the online features. You could play it with a friend, you could raid it with a random guy you find on the street. You could literally be walking down the street and find another player fighting against enemy AI and help him. And you would also get the loot, you would also get the same XP. It would be like a random encounter, but it would feel fun because you would know that this is a random encounter and none of it was scripted. Nothing in like AC Valhalla and Odyssey or Breakpoint any other game do that. Even though Breakpoint does have co-op, online co-op, it's not the same because it's like only in the hub where you actually see other players. As soon as you go into the main world, the game doesn't have any uh, place to meet for you. Another thing, now this is the second part, IP abuse or maybe franchise abuse. But I sincerely believe, and this is my opinion again, guys. This is all my personal opinion. If you have a difference of opinion or think this is a criticization, please let me know in the comments. I am doing this like I have some knowledge, but I would feel appreciated that if people would actually give me genuine critics instead of like just saying, "Oh man, you're bad. You just don't know the game. The game is good." But IP abuse. I genuinely believe that Breakpoint, Valhalla, Odyssey, and 6. No, actually, I can keep 6 in there. But these three games were never meant to be considered their original names. Valhalla and Odyssey were never meant to feel like Assassin's Creed games. These two were originally supposed to be their own games, but Ubisoft needed something to boost fans or boost sales to make people say, hey, you can look at this new game. If Valhalla and Odyssey didn't release with the name AC, I genuinely believe no one would have batted an interest. They would be good games, there's no denying that fact, but they wouldn't have the same boost, same sales as they did with the name AC on them. Even when you play the games, you can notice that the whole Assassin's Creed plot or the hidden one plots felt like it was forced into the game. It wasn't original. This worked was, say Ubisoft released Valhalla. It never said it was an Assassin's Creed game. It was just Valhalla. No one would buy it, even though the trailer would look good. Even the game would play well as they show it. No one would buy the game. Why? Because the game never had Assassin's Creed in it. But they add Assassin's Creed in it. It has no relation to the Assassins. Have two and people like Hytham and Basim, who are the only two hidden ones you meet in the game, feel so forced just so that they could add the hidden blade. Like the hidden blade in Valhalla and meeting Hytham and Basim, and then the whole plot of making Alexander a Templar, it felt so forced and bad. I think a lot of people will agree that this plot was absolutely terrible, and anyone who tries to defend it is dumb. Because these games were called Assassin's Creed, fans of the original game were excited. Hey, a new Assassin's Creed game. Oh, they showed the hidden blade in Valhalla. I'm gonna check it out. That's how they lure people in. They use a false IP on the game, even though the game had no relation to the Creed. The game felt more like a Dark Souls game in a manner. The whole idea of a stamina bar, the weapon switch system, the gear system, the whole stun attack. It felt more like playing a Dark Souls game with like some changes, or like a roguelite game, if that's also a way to say it. But none of it felt like an Assassin's Creed game. Same reason with Breakpoint. They added wildlands features like the open world, the four-player co-op. Although the four-player co-op isn't, I don't know if there's bots or you can play it offline, or there's a good story. Actually, Breakpoint had a thing is that's why the games aren't that good, cause Odyssey and Valhalla just use the IP of like Assassin's Creed. They never felt like Assassin's Creed. You don't play as an assassin. They only like add it in just to make sure that fans don't feel like they've been given a cheap knockoff. Take another example, and I'm going to go for the DLCs now. Yep, I am going to go for both game DLCs. Origins DLC, I can't remember because I never played it. AC DLC, Legend of the First Blade for Odyssey, and Valhalla's Ragnarok. All three of them had the same common bullshit point of using Isu gods, mythological creatures, for their main plot, and it felt such like rubbish watching them, cause it literally destroyed any narrative the first games have about the pieces of Eden, the Isu, the basically idea why the pieces of Eden are dangerous. The fact that they said, hey, let's make Minotaur and Isu, let's make Odin, any mythology related to Norse or Greek related to Isu, made the game boring and terrible. I just can't find anything that made these DLCs any fun. Sure, these DLCs were fun to play, but again, the fact that they had to go ahead and butcher the game's lore and make their own terrible assumption about what the game should be made the game terrible in its own sense. Now, Far Cry 6. Far Cry 6, I feel like, is a great game. I know a lot of people, some people had dislikes and some liked it more, but I think what Far Cry has always had a common theme from like every like Far Cry game except Primal. I don't think anyone will remember Primal, but Far Cry had always had a good villain. I know a lot of people will say like, oh, Vaas is the best villain, but Vaas, Pagan Min, Joseph Seed, And I forgot what Gustavo played, but I know he plays at like Giancarlo plays at like the dictator. All of these were great villains, and even though if one of four, three, four, 5, and 6 didn't have such like good stories, they had characters that you could actually like, except 5, because in 5 and New Dawn, apparently your character is mute. It's a bad idea for a Far Cry game to have your character center around everything that's happening in the game and then make them mute. Like the sheriff deputy in Far Cry 5, he is literally killing off every Seed member that exists. He's killing off Joseph Seed's entire military system, his entire false religious system, and the deputy doesn't even talk. But yeah, so I really hope that like now that they're releasing Mirage for Assassin's Creed, I hope that they actually stay to their like word and keep it an old like Assassin's Creed game, keep it with its stealth mechanics, keep it its like parkour. Parkour was very important. I forgot to mention parkour in like Odyssey and Valhalla were terrible. I am not gonna talk anyone. I'm not gonna like even argue about this. They were terrible. You could feel the motion, like when the characters would jump from ledge to ledge. You could feel that jank pause in the air they would make just to get onto another ledge. It really like pissed me off when I like look at Unity's parkour and then look at Valhalla's parkour, and then look at and see and need to understand why the hell would Ubisoft butcher their own like mechanic. The one thing that was good about Assassin's Creed was that stealth, and that was parkour. The parkour made the game more fun because it made traversal more fun. Now Ubisoft uses like horses, open villages, and stuff like fast travel, just to make sure that people don't travel because they know that their traversal system is terrible. But yeah, so I think yeah, this is like I'm gonna end the video here. But yeah, all right. So if you guys have anything like personal opinion or feel like what I said was just wrong, sorry about that. Mic was on my mouth. Please let me know, because like I said, this is my first video and I did this with like some of the knowledge I did was half-assed, so please, I apologize in advance. I do really hope that AC Mirage actually turns out to be a good game. I never say that a game turns out bad. I really hope games do turn out good, but it's the devs that ruin the game. It's the publishers that like force mechanics that aren't necessary in the game. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video and feel like it was really informative, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's this one, you can see the logo. Also, if you want to see more videos and more reviews, let me know, and please consider subscribing to the channel, as it always like improves it. By the way, this is like my second channel, not a second channel, this is like my personal account, this is like my YouTube account, so that's why if people are confused why I'm showing it from another account. This is like my this is like my other PC. So yeah, if you guys like enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. And this is like my first time, so apologies for any misinformation, lack of knowledge, or like terrible audio, or like maybe I didn't talk about stuff in depth. I apologize for it in advance. I think I covered what I could. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.